Hi, I'm Mark Weitz. Welcome to Insights from Great American Group, a series of webcasts regularly scheduled to bring you important information you can use. I'd like to welcome my guest, Mike Marschleck. Michael, how are you?
Doing great, thanks. Good morning.
Mike, can you tell our viewers a little bit about you and your background here at Great American Group?
Sure. In the industry for 15 years, and I've been with Great American for 13 of them. I work with clients, providing them solutions with our basket of services, manage the Western region.
Michael, we're going to talk a little bit about inventory today. What direction are inventory values going today?
Today we require greater discounts to move product at the retail and wholesale channels. Continued performance downward, increased supply and inventory as compared to what we had seen 6 months or maybe a year ago has put downward pressure on net recovery values.
And so then if I asked you, what are the stronger and or weaker vertical markets or segments, how would you answer that?
Sure. Some of the stronger, I'll start with stronger first. Food, wine, chemicals. You got to eat, and despite what's going on in the marketplace, you need a occasional cocktail. So they go hand in hand. Within food, casual dining and high end have been hit. We all know that. There's so much information in the press about it. However, quick serve and fast food is doing really well, and suppliers to that segment within that vertical have done well. Within wine, high end again has been hurt. Lower end, retail anywhere from 10 to 20 wine case goods has done well. Bulk is having trouble these days. Bulk wine, just for our viewers' information, is wine sold in bulk quantities to creators of wines to create blends. So with excess supply in the marketplace, because some of these organizations are waiting to see what kind of demand or volume forecast they're going to have. With excess supply, the values of bulk have been hurt a little bit. Although they expect a good harvest this year in parts of our country that grow wine, as much as 20% may go unpicked or unharvested because of decline in demand.
Mike, what other market segments are still struggling?
Automotive leads the charge, anywhere from 6 to 10 points down from last year. Aftermarket is more of a seasonal. It's more seasonal. So it's down about 6. OEM or original equipment manufacturing suppliers, the tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, they're down about 10%. This is all as a result of what we're seeing from the big 3 automakers and their drop in production. Apparel is down. Last year was a poor year for apparel. We expect to have another poor year, lower demand. Building materials down a little bit. They've more or less stabilized. They were really beat up last year. This year they've stabilized a little bit because they've dropped down their inventory levels. They've taken on some new initiatives, such as buying product on consignment, which we've never really heard of up until now.
Well, that keeps them from having to put the money up front and
Exactly.
making you put it in other areas.
Exactly, because there's less liquiidity.
It's a market adjustment, really.
Less access to cash, so they can work with their suppliers to work with them on consignment. Metals has stabilized. Hot rolled steel, this time last year was 42% higher than it is today. And so what everyone in the industry has done is they've cut production drastically because their fixed overheads are huge. So they've had to cut back overhead, cut back production in order to stabilize with demand. On a go forward, as far as steel, the CEO Lakshmi Mittal of ArcelorMittal, he said the only growth that they can expect to get in the next 2 years is going to be from their emerging markets, and not in any of their existing markets. So the name of the game is cut supply to meet demand, and we're seeing that across a number of verticals. And
Goes back to supply and demand economics, I guess, right?
As basic as that, exactly. Furniture, really tough vertical. Hit the skids in late 2007 into mid-2008. Retailers, wholesales of the like. Special orders are down 27%. Imports down 20%. What we're learning is that basically consumers expect greater discounts. They expect to pay less, and that's hurting that segment. So it's lower margins, lower volumes is really squeezing that vertical. Paper and packaging, another highly asset-intensive business with huge overheads. Volumes are down. Having to cut production, it's really hurting that vertical. It's another weaker vertical.
Okay, so we're talking about the various ways management can manipulate and stimulate. We're talking about consumer spending patterns to be able to push the recovery along. What do we see in the immediate future, Mike? We've got Q4 that we're here, then we're going to launch into 2010. What do we see short term in these global specters? We talked about the longer term recovery, but what can we see now in the launch of 2010?
We don't expect these trends to end anytime soon. For the balance of the year, we expect much more of the same or more of the same. Q1 2010, we're going to read about how the retailers missed their numbers and their projections, and how the distributors are having issues supplying, servicing their clients, and with the drop in demand, those lost accounts are really going to hurt the distributors. We don't expect any of these trends to end anytime soon, because we're in a consumer-driven economy. That's what drives everything. And since this consumer-driven economy moves with our general economy, and we're dealing with unemployment, and we're dealing with new folks coming to this country at a rate of 125,000 to 150,000 per month, with an oversupply of labor and undersupply of jobs, it's going to take a while to work through that.
So keep in mind, we're broadcasting this webcast as information to our clients, and now we're going to all look to you, Michael, and we're going to say, when can we expect that recovery? And is 2010 beyond the first quarter? Is that the recovery? And I'm coming back to ask you this in about 6 months.
Okay, well, I'll be here. The information that we have from our sources that have been very accurate up until today don't expect a recovery anytime soon. On the short side, it might be a few years. On the longer side, could be as many as 4. So the government can't do all of it with stimulus spending. It's really going to take the economy to cooperate and for people to start spending again in order to work through this big bubble that we're currently in right now.
And so then I guess I would say to you, my next question would be, why then is the federal government and Bernanke and the press corps and President Obama's administration, why are they indicating that the recovery has actually already begun? Is that something tangible, or is that more just kind of an optimistic genre that's in the air?
They're trying to put an optimistic tone, exactly. They're trying to put an optimistic tone on the forecast to get people more comfortable with spending, and they're doing their best. They realize they can't do it all themselves. There's just not enough money to go around, and tax money to go around, in order to help everyone there. So they're going to have to try in different ways. So it's an attempt. I don't know if it's going to work or not. One of the things that we need to really help our viewers understand is, when they see these facts and they see these figures that you read about in the paper or the press or the magazines or on the web, because there's so many different media channels out there, they need to question the source and ask why. Why is this valid? What does it mean to me? What is it? Where's this information coming from, and what does it really mean?
So it sounds to me that rather than pinpointing the word recovery for 2010, it seems to be more of a optimism, if you would,
Sure,
induced by the federal government in some of these programs to assist and stimulate those to get out and spend, as opposed to saying, yes, we're definitely in a recovery mode. It's more of a optimistic sort of view, is that we're on our way back type thing.
Right. But what's interesting is, different parts of the Fed have conflicting messages. The Fed Chairman Bernanke, saying, we're basically through this recession, or we're nearing the end of the recession. And then earlier this month, San Francisco Fed President Janet Yellen, in a speech, cited how the the consumer pattern, the changing consumer buying patterns are really going to impact a recovery. She was quoted as saying that unemployment rate will remain elevated for a few more years and believes we are witnessing the start of a new era for consumers. The retreat from debt-fueled consumption and increase in savings could reduce the growth rate of consumer spending for years. The transition from recession to recovery could be painful if subpar growth in consumer spending holds back the pace of the recovery.
Which is a perfect prelude into my next sort of question. I mean, where can we find the sources to actually monitor these trends or these tangible economic indicators, if you will, that would actually translate potentially into what we're calling a recovery?
You can always start with the Fed Beige Book. It's a really good resource to understand consumer credit, commercial credit, contraction or expansion. Early Warning Wire, which is a great online resource that we utilize, several of their leading indicators to understand what to expect in the near future. They've got a really strong team of folks that are great at synthesizing a variety of sources and helping us drill down what we need to understand to try to stay ahead of the curve. Shipping activity is another great leading indicator that we have here, that we utilize here. It's railroad activity, railroad tonnage index, shipping tonnage indexes that are available. Those are great leading indicators. Any other questions that you have, you can always call us, and we can always make ourselves available to help you find the right information.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Michael, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.